All right, this is the part of the show that doesn't make it into the podcast because this is the little bit that we do here on YouTube. So if you are joining us live from Facebook or you're on YouTube, let us know where you're coming to us from. And we're going to get started here with Podcast PD episode 143.
143.
143. Is that a significant number?
Back in the 90s it was.
Go on.
Come on, don't you know you send text like that? Or I'm sorry, you didn't send text. You'd have to send beeps. You'd send
I did not have a pager. I was not on drugs.
I didn't either, but my girlfriend did. So
she was on drugs?
yes, no. You would text things.
So what does 143 mean?
It's the numbers. Did I lose you? I feel like everything just kind of died out.
What does 143 mean?
143. It's one word that has one.
What does it mean?
Letter. Hold on.
Frozen.
Can't hear me?
Talking about beepers, and he froze.
I'm right here.
Oh, so what does 143 mean?
It's a code.
What's the code?
So it's 3 words. All right. The first word has 1 letter in it. Second word has 4 letters in it.
Love.
And the third word had 3 letters in it.
I love you.
143. You don't know 143? Come on. You're a kid of the 90s. You don't know 143?
I didn't have anybody to love.
Come on.
Sorry.
I would have texted you 143.
Oh. I 143 you, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Now we just do this, right?
There you go. All right. Let's do this episode.
Let's do it. Do it live.
Very, very powerful questions for our guest today.
I really don't want questions. All right.
Too bad. Maybe we'll get questions from the people. So,
probably not.
Drop in the chat where you're coming to us from. We're going to start the show right now. Okay.
Right now.
Coming up on episode 143 of Podcast PD, we are talking about transitioning from a vice principal role to a principal role with our very own podcast paisano, AJ Bianco. Let's start the show. This is Podcast PD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco and me, Chris Nessie. Let's start the show. What is going on, Podcast PD listener? Welcome to episode 143. My name is Chris Nessie, at Mr. Nessie on Twitter. I'm a social studies teacher and all-around edtech badass here on the internet, and I'm joined by my podcast paisano, as always, AJ Bianco. What's going on, buddy?
Christopher, it is nice to have these moments together. It's been a crazy, crazy summer, but it's nice to slow down a little bit and do the thing that we're good at.
What exactly are we good at?
Talking to each other.
Oh, that's right.
That's it, though. I mean, that's it.
Yes, it's the end of August. The podcast version of this is dropping in the first week of September. We want to thank you for, I want to thank you for listening to all of our content over the last couple of years as we made that shift to the once a month model. Last month was a big month. You missed it.
Missed it.
Stacy was here. Stacy did an episode.
How was it having her back? Let's rewind real quick because I wasn't here. And as we spoke, I did not listen to the episode because I have not listened to podcasts lately. I'm just getting back to listening to podcasts because my drive's going to be a little bit longer and I have a little more time after the summer now to listen to some podcasts. So how was it having Stacy back on the episode?
It was like riding a bike. It was as if her and I were doing a show a couple of years ago where, for whatever reason, you couldn't be there, and we just did the show. We did the wrinkle where we covered 3 or 4 topics that I pulled from Reddit, and we talked about new advice for the new teacher. We talked about some classroom management stuff. We both kind of reflected on cell phones in the classroom a little bit for one of the segments.
Ooh.
Yeah, very, very exciting. And of course, it was funny. At the end of the episode, I had Stacy do the magic, and she had a little verbal faux pas, which
Oh
was
no.
hashtag classic Stacy.
Yes.
You don't get that on the podcast side, but if you go back and
Oh,
watch it on YouTube, if you go back and watch it on YouTube,
all right. All right.
you will certainly catch the hijinks.
Oh,
So
I can't wait. I can't wait for that one. I could just
yes,
imagine.
it was it was it was good.
Oh, all right. We'll have to do a rewind with Stace when the year starts.
Yes, I'm sure she'll come back because she talked about some stuff, and based on our conversation, I think she would be willing to come back on and reflect on some of the things that we talked about later in this upcoming school year.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yes. Now, if you're not familiar, if you're listening on the podcast side, we do live stream the show at the end of each month. So we're doing this live on Sunday, August 25th. We've got some people watching, dropping some thumbs up. So let us know wherever you're watching. Might be Facebook, might be YouTube. Let us know where you're at. Want to give a big hello to one of our executive producers, Stephanie Scrocky. She is in the chat, and she has congratulated AJ, but we don't know why for what, because we need to talk about some stuff here, big guy.
I mean, yeah, nobody knows. Secrets.
Well, it's not a secret anymore because you announced it on LinkedIn.
I did. I put it out there for the world.
So why don't you put it out here for your podcast PD audience? What is going on in your professional world, my friend?
Well, as the what's the title of the episode? Transitioning from VP to principal. So I guess there you go.
There you go,
folks. I have accepted a position as a principal in another district in Bergen County, New Jersey.
Let's go.
Oh, wow, look at that. I love those sounds. And I will be the principal of what we're going to call an elementary school, but it's a 3 to 6 school. And I'm excited to start the journey.
This is big time, buddy.
Yeah, it's big time. Big news.
I feel like ever since I met you, you've been like, can't wait to become a principal.
Look, that's part of the decision, right? Be straight up. It was a very difficult decision and something, that I was actually like tossing back and forth. Like, am I ready? And, does it feel right? Is it this? Is it this? And, I was talking to a friend who was like, you've been working, how long? How long are we doing this, Chris? 10 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years?
Long time, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's actually longer than that, actually, right? So I've been working up to this point. We'll say 10 years, and what I've been working for. We're working for the principalship. So I had the opportunity, and it was not something that I could turn down. So here we go.
All right, I want to pepper you with some questions.
Sure. I'll do my best.
Okay. So first, thank you to Freddie Nunez and Siobhan, both New Jersey brethren, checking in. They're watching on Facebook.
Our guys.
They're in the admin world, no?
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
Absolutely.
No,
Freddie's principal. Siobhan is assistant principal. I might have to pick Siobhan's brain for some of the things. So, yeah. Well, go ahead, Pepper.
All right. So the school you are currently an assistant principal in, right? Mm-hmm. You cover grades
5 through 8.
5 through 8.
5 through 8.
So it's like upper elementary, middle school.
Yeah, straight middle school. I wouldn't even call it 5th grade upper elementary, but go ahead.
Okay. And tell us about the school you are going to.
Yep. So going to so the district, I'll talk about it. District is broken up into 3 schools, right? Obviously you got my school, but across the street from my school, you have a K-2 school. And then you got my school, which is a 3 to 6 school, and then a junior high school, which is 7 to 12. So
really 7 through 12?
Big jump. But again, it's a junior high and high school combined.
Okay.
1 principal, 2 assistant principals, 1 for the high school, 1 for the middle school. And you got, my building is the upper elementary, right? The 3, 4, 5, 6. And like, I don't consider, like, it's an elementary school, but I don't consider it in my mind as an elementary because I'm getting that middle school kid, right? It's the kid who is middle school, but not really. Middle school light.
Right. Okay.
because 5 and 6 is that grade level where like they should be middle school, but maybe because they were the elementary kids, they don't realize they're middle school. So it's kind of why I'm pretty excited for this journey.
What inspired you to pursue the opportunity?
You want look? We're gonna be honest here, right?
Yeah.
I didn't. I got a phone call.
Okay.
I got a phone call, and it was like, "Hey, you should think about this." And I was like, I'm kind of happy. I like what I'm doing. I'm happy where I am. There's a lot of things I haven't completed where I'm at. And the phone call came through. It was like, why don't you just go through the process and see where you fit? So I went through the process, and obviously I fit pretty well. So I did not look for this. I didn't even know it was a thing until I got that phone call.
When you say you went through the process, can you describe that process for us?
The interview process, like,
Yeah,
is that?
like what did you have to go through?
Yeah. So it was 3 rounds. It was a 3-round interview. It was first round was with a larger committee, which had couple of teachers from different grade levels. It had the school counselor. It had the superintendent. It had one of the other building principal, and then the assistant principal for the high school. So that was round 1, and it was pretty lengthy. Round 1, I'll be honest with you, it was almost 45 minutes to an hour of conversation. So off the bat, that's a lot.
I mean, that seems like, you're going to put somebody in charge of a building. You're in charge of the teachers. That
Right.
sounds like it should be the right time.
Yeah. It was definitely definitely a larger round. And then it was kind of smaller from there on. It was a smaller round where I had to share my vision, and that was a smaller group. And then a final, which was the final round was really me and the superintendent. And like
in a one-on-one?
Yeah. One-on-one, visiting the school and really going through that conversation.
All right. I have a question about that last round, but
Sure.
before we get to that last round, what went into your preparation for interviewing for a principalship? Was it similar to what you did when you wanted to become the assistant principal, or is there more involvement?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think. I mean, it was very similar because a lot of it was like looking at the school and what was needed. And I think for this, just more importantly, it was now looking at myself as somebody who's done the leadership role already, and like, what am I good at? Where are my strengths, and what can I improve? So for this one, it was a little bit more of, what am I doing in this leadership role that I have that's going to put me above everybody else? What's going to set me apart, or what am I going to do more of, as somebody who runs the building. So it's similar. Like the research is all similar, looking at the school district, looking at the report card, trying to figure out different things from the website and all that kind of stuff. But again, it was more of like a reflective piece for me.
Was there a point in either that first round, maybe second round, where you felt, I got this, I am their guy? Or did you not find that out until they said, hey, you're our guy?
I didn't think that at all. I got to be honest with you. I kind of thought the first round was good. I got a pretty good vibe, as good of a vibe as you can get. Round 2, I thought I blew it.
Really?
Yeah. Thought I blew round 2. And
all right, so you feel like you blow round 2, but you get called for round 3. So then what are you thinking?
I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. I think for round 3, I kind of was in shock, I guess, going into round 3, because I really thought I didn't do a good enough job round 2. And when he's like, "Yeah, it's just a conversation. Come and casual. Don't do the whole suit. We're just gonna talk." And like he got a vibe from me too, and he's like, "You seem different this round." He straight up said it to me. He's like, "Are you still excited about this, superintendent?" He's like,
Oh,
"You
so the
excited about this?"
superintendent was in the second round as well.
Superintendent was all over.
Oh, okay.
New superintendent, so he wanted to be hands on for everything.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
All right, so virtual components and the conversation and all of it. So he wanted to be part of all of it. And he's like, "Are you still excited about this?" And like, I was just gonna be straight up. I was like, my nerves are kicking in full blast. I was like, I thought I didn't do so well last round. I was like, here we are sitting together. He told me there's another candidate, and he was very candid with me. And he said the other candidate did a better job round two, and I, just kind of like going through like round three. I was like, maybe he doesn't, maybe just feel me out. Like maybe I'm not going to get this. Like, so I went right into my mode of like, I'm going back to my school. I'm going to do the AP thing and I'll be happy there until something opens up. But, obviously that wasn't the case. So, it was nice. And then, like I said, going back and forth, trying to make the decision as to if I felt right. Again, like leaving an interview where you don't think you did a great job and you don't personally feel you were the best candidate, very close to turning down a job that I've been waiting for a long time. Very close.
So when they made you an offer,
yeah,
you considered maybe not taking it.
Yeah, for days. Yeah, but like I'll be honest, I'll just give some credit where credit's due. Like my current principal, we spoke for 2.5 hours and then some, like just throwing things around as to like, well, what's your future look like? What do you want to do? And like he knows that I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna be able to sit back and do the AP thing as my career. And that's not who I am. And I think that too. And anybody who listens to this show knows that that's not me. So he was like, look, if this is your opportunity, he's like, you've got to go for it. And he gave me he just opened my eyes to different things. And I appreciate it greatly from his perspective as to what it looks like to be a leader.
I mean, I would imagine, and you and I didn't have the opportunity to chat about it other than when you said, hey, guess what's happening?
Yep.
But if we had the opportunity to talk, I would have encouraged you to take it for the simple fact of you've been looking to get a position like this. Mm-hmm. How are you going to know if it's for you if you don't take that leap of faith?
Yeah. Look, I always go to my trusted people, and like you being one of those people, I knew what you were going to say right away. So you were not one of the ones I was going to refer to.
Okay.
Because I knew exactly what you would say no matter what the situation was. Right. But, you name the people that I speak to that and everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Every one of them said, you're an idiot for not taking this job.
If you were not to do it, I get it. I get it.
Everybody said, how could you not, first of all, because this is what you always wanted. And number two, the school that you're going to is your wheelhouse. How could you not? And like I keep telling everybody, and what excites me is like I'm doing a 3 through 6 building. It's like hanging out with my boys and their friends as I coach. And it's what life is going to be like, right? So I'm going to have like the age group where I am with 90% of my life as I'm coaching variety of sports.
Yeah.
Like I coach, when I coach Daniel's flag football team this year, I'm coaching 3rd and 4th grade. When I coach Ryan's flag football team, I'm coaching 5th and 6th grade. When I coach baseball, so on and so on. That's my world. That's my wheelhouse. And I think I'm pretty good with those kids. And, that's what excited me about it all.
So you mentioned that this superintendent in this new district is new to the district, want to be part of the process. Is this individual new to superintendency or just new to the district?
New to the district.
Okay.
New to the district.
All right. So you are hired. You are going to be going to this district, but here in the great state of New Jersey, we're from Jersey, baby.
I'm from New York. I live in Jersey.
Whatever.
Sorry.
You're from Jersey.
Sure.
You mentioned that you are going to be held in your current district for a little bit of time, and then you'll get to make that move over.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit before we hit record, but what is happening during this transition period?
Yeah, a lot of juggling for me. A lot of juggling. Like, you want to talk about overwhelm. complete overwhelm.
I
Right?
do. Yeah. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Go.
So I'm between both schools, right? I'm obviously not officially started in the district, right? And I'm not out of my district now. So I've been since I was board approved by my district. Um, I've been kind of doing some things here and there. I haven't really, the guy who was the principal, he just left August 12th or 13th or something like that. So like that office has now been clear for 2 weeks, just about. So I really have just started like moving myself in and getting stuff settled and making the office my office. Right. Um, so I've been kind of going through and trying to figure out exactly what needs to be done, jotting down some notes, taking ideas from a variety of friends and colleagues, and just trying to like figure out the direction here, right? Because since I'm not started, I haven't really met the staff. I'm trying to figure out how I can best cater to them and how I can meet the students and how I can, meet families. So that is just like a lot of what's on my mind, plus making my schedules for the school I'm at right now, getting that started, because as of August 27th, 28th, 29th, we have teachers and students coming into the building for orientation, open house, and the start of the year, right? The two schools, and the two districts, I should say, have different start days. So on September 3rd, the district I'm currently at has kids coming in. September 5th, my district that I'll be going to has kids coming in on the 5th. So I'm juggling my days, splitting my days half and half, starting like now as we're speaking, like starting tomorrow, Monday, half days on and off, one day in the morning, one day in the afternoon, so on and so on until I'm done. So September 20th is my last day where I currently am. And then starting September 23rd, I'm full-time in my new district as I take over the building, and the panic sets in even more so. I'm going to be straight up, right? There's nerves. There's a lot of nerves. And somebody said to me, if you don't have nerves, you don't care. So obviously this is a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with whoever that person is. So enough about the old place. Let's talk about where you're going.
Sure.
You mentioned in the interview process, you talked about your vision. So now that you are going to be Mr. Bianco principal, what is your, let's pretend you're going to be the president. Not that we're going to talk politics. What is your first, 30 days, 90 days? What are you looking to do here?
Yeah, right. That first 30, 60, 90 days, right? That stuff.
Yeah. What do you do?
So I'm really torn by that, right? Because like, obviously I'm sitting here doing research and looking up like action plans for principals' first 30, 60, 90 days. And unfortunately, a lot of those plans start in like July and August. So I'm already like super behind, because like everything about that, like July and August, when you look into it, is getting yourself comfortable, getting to know the school, getting to know the community, blah, blah, blah. I'm jumping in like school's starting. So my first thing is like relationships. So my vision right off the bat is just to get to know people and, make the connection with the students, but I also have to make the connection with the staff, because, I'm the new guy. I don't like the fact that, like, even when you think about it, like my opening day, I'm going to tell these people, and I don't mean to say like these people as like my staff, I have to tell my staff exactly, like, here's my expectations. By the way, you have no idea who I am. We haven't even met yet.
Yeah.
So like, it's very strange to me. I don't like that feeling of, well, here's what you need to know. But
let me ask you this.
That's not me to begin with. So we're gonna have to like break it down and like get to know each other before I even say like, okay, here's what you need.
Let me ask you this. We have been communicating. We've been friends for, more than 10 years. And we have seen the articles, watched the YouTube videos, seen the reels, the TikToks, whatever, where we have seen leaders that we know, some we don't know, who have done these things that we have sat there and said, wow, that's really out of the box. Wow, that's amazing. Like, oh, what a great idea.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can draw on, or is there an out of the box idea in your head that you could employ to make this better or special?
I can't answer that yet. Which knowing me is very difficult, right? Because I don't have that. I'm not a baby steps kind of person, but like everything about this has to be baby steps because I don't know everything I need to know. Like I had the opportunity to speak with the principal a variety of times. Like even for
The outgoing
that
principal.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like even when I was getting prepared for one of the rounds, I believe it was the third round, I had the opportunity to speak to the principal and ask a lot of questions, you know, and I used it obviously, but a lot of his vision for what the school is and was aligns with my belief for what a school should have. So it's a good thing. It just shows that like it's a good fit, but at the same point, I can't go in there and start saying I want to do this, this, and this, and I don't want to be somebody else because I don't know what I'm getting into.
Right.
There's a lot of positives I'm hearing, which is great. And there may be things that I don't want to change. And there may be things that he did that really worked well for the kids and for the staff that I want to keep. So like year one, I hate to say it, like I'm going to be lame, but year one, I'm going to be sitting back and just kind of being part of a lot of it, doing like my analysis over the first 3 months, and then come back in like January with a big vision of like, okay, this is what we've done so far. Let's start putting some feet to the pavement in different ways.
That makes sense. I remember, in my district when my superintendent came in 2014, 2015, somewhere in there, right? When he was new, I remember he
Yeah.
came to all of the schools, and something he shared with the high school staff when he met us for the first time was that, he was not going to make these big sweeping changes and that he was going to do just a lot of observing and note taking in that first year. And then based on observations and learning, then we would start to see some things
Mm-hmm.
change and he would get his, fingerprints all over the clay,
Right.
so to speak. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and he held true to that. He was very much accepting of feedback and wanted to hear from teachers and administrators. So I imagine you have something similar in mind, and you just sort of kind of pointed at that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I don't want to sit back too much because there are things that I'd like to do and things I'd like to see and ways I'd like to, help make it, mine. But it's going to take the first year, and it has to.
When you were offered the position, you mentioned that, the superintendent said that the other person, did a better job in the round two.
Yeah.
Was he ever so candid to tell you why you were selected?
Um, he shared reasons.
Okay.
He shared reasons, but I it's not like to be honest, I don't think it was like in the interview we saw this. It was more of like who he knew in that room at that time. He's like, I want you because I know you do X, Y, and Z. Like I thought maybe you'd bring it a little differently in the with the vision. He's like, you did a good job, but the other person stood out a little more. Like, look, maybe there was more bells and whistles. Maybe he expected me to bring the technology. I didn't bring technology. I brought paper. And I was I was nervous sharing my vision because just nervous, right? It's a big thing. So maybe there were more bells and whistles that I needed to bring or newer ideas that I could have, transferred for what the principal had told me,
Okay. This is very exciting.
Look, the whole thing is exciting. Like I'm not going to front. The whole thing is exciting. It's definitely a major change, and I'm leaving a place that, as difficult as some of the days were, it's a place that I absolutely love being at, and it's a place that I love the people at, and there's a lot of people that I don't want to leave behind. And shoot, if I had the opportunity to take them with me, I'd take them with me in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I again, it goes to the point where like for the last 9 years, I've been working towards this, and there was no way that was going to something that there's no way I was going to let something stop me. You know, even though like there have been times, just because you know me and people have been listening for a while, there have been times where I've sat here and said, "Ooh, am I making a mistake? Am I doing the right thing? Should I really be taking this step?" And you know, going the comic book route. Am I more of a Robin to somebody's Batman? You know, am I the assistant coach? Like, how many times we look at sports, right? And we say, "Oh man, guy's a great offensive defensive coordinator. He sucks as a head coach." I'm like, is that me? Do I suck as a head coach?
Like you're going from being the bench coach to the manager.
Right. I mean, hey, look, it worked for what's his name, Mendoza with the Mets, but like,
Yeah.
Aaron Boone sucks.
Don't be the Aaron Boone of principals, okay?
There you go. That's why I will not be the Aaron Boone.
So obviously a lot of what goes into this decision for you and anybody is what they want to achieve and accomplish professionally. But you're also in a great position where you've got a family. How did your family factor into you making your decision?
All right. Straight up.
Yeah.
The day I was offered the position, I was going back and forth with a variety of phone calls. Okay. A lot of the principals that support me, a lot of people that, you know, I consider my mentors. I've been calling them and leaned on them for a little bit. And at home, Ryan was kind of getting a little bit nosy. My Ryan, like he's getting a little nosy. He's like, what's Dad doing? You know? And he asked Jamie at one point, and she's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Dad's talking about his job. And he's like, is he gonna get a new job? So I don't tell them I'm interviewing, right? I keep that to myself most of the time.
Yeah.
Unless something's like gonna change. And Jamie was like, yeah, it's possible that Daddy's gonna get a new job, right? And Ryan goes, Daddy comes home grumpy a lot of times.
Okay.
So like right there, like look, it's hard, man. It's
From
middle
the
school.
mouths of babes.
There's some days where I come home and I'm like, ugh, why did I ever leave the classroom? Right?
We've had that conversation here.
We've had that conversation a whole bunch of times. So like, I thought, not that this is gonna be easy by any means. You know, maybe something would be a little bit different for me and just kind of get me back to who I always saw myself as an educator. I mean, look, we talk about this. My first love, my first passion was elementary education, right? And it was that first day of my whatever observations where my sister put me into a classroom and the kid came up to me with a booger on his finger and said, "What do I do with this?" And I was like, "I don't want it." But as a 19, 20-year-old kid, like it's different than I am at 42.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, again, like my kids played a major part of this because I was like, how would you guys feel about hanging out with Daddy all day if I was your principal? And they're like, oh my God, it would be so much fun. You know, and I asked their friends too. I'm like, you know, what do you like about your principal? You know, and I was like, do you think I could do that job? And someone like, no. I'm like, why not? You know, someone like, you're too serious. You know, so they were a major part of the decision.
How did the shadow factor in?
You know, she lets me do what I want to do. She's you know, she's known about this goal longer than anybody, right?
Right.
So I think there's times where she's against it because she knows how good I have it where I am. And there's times where she does the same thing. You've wanted this for so long. How can you turn it down? You know, when someone's coming for you or someone's calling you or you know, it's this grade level, it's this challenge, it's, you know, whatever, even a little bump in salary, whatever the case may be. Like there's things there that you gotta factor in, and it's going to be different. There's going to be different days. I mean, maybe not because it's an elementary school. So maybe I don't have to worry about like a lot of night events, but like there'll be things that I have to take care of. So it'll be a little different, but I handle a lot of things in my role now that like take me out of commission sometimes, you know?
All right. I got some questions for you as now elementary school principal.
Ugh, I'm not ready for those.
So let's project ahead to the spring, and it's field day 2025, and all the kids are jacked up for the end of the year. They got this great field day planned. Is Mr. Bianco the principal who gets involved and participates in field day, or are you just looking and walking around the fields, keeping things buttoned up?
Come on, man.
I got to know.
Come on, man.
I got to know.
If my hamstrings is intact and I'm feeling pretty good, some kid's about to get burned going on the 40-yard dash.
There you go.
42 and a half, Mr. B's out.
We're going to have a Pie the Principal event in the fall?
Shoot. Apparently last year there was a reading challenge for the school. That one year the principals got taped to the wall. I think last year they kissed a goat.
The duct tape.
The
Nice.
duct tape, yeah. So last year I think they had to kiss a goat, the principals. So, look, man, if it gets the kids doing what they got to do, I'm having some fun with it.
I hope you have fun because
I get to be like the biggest goofball. I get to be the biggest goofball in the world. I can let my true self come out. I don't have to worry about like the serious face of a middle school educator. I can be a goof all day long.
Okay, I like it. All right, so you actually know. Before I ask my question, let me real quick. If you get value from these conversations, we have an opportunity here on Podcast PD where you can become an executive producer, and you can support our efforts in creating quality content where we have conversations like this. And I'm going to ask AJ the tough questions, or we're going to ramble about things we find on Reddit. So if you're interested in becoming an executive producer, go to podcastpd.com/executive producer. You can support us in one of two ways. You can support us $10 per month. And if you do that, we are going to send you an executive producer sticker, and we're going to say thank you very much, and we're going to shout you out on every episode. Or you can support us by donating or giving back $100 per year. If you do that, we're going to send you a sticker, we're going to send you a t-shirt, we're going to send you a mug, we're going to send you a hat, and we are, of course, going to shout you out on every episode. All right, so that's podcastpd.com/executive producer. And we do want to thank our current executive producers. So we want to shout out Holly Landez, Sandy Hartman, and the incomparable Stephanie Scrocky, who is, I'm pretty sure, watching us live as she does each and every time we do this. And I do want to give a special shout out to Sandy Hartman. She has decided to end her executive producership, and she will no longer be executive producing past September. So we want to thank Sandy for a couple of years supporting the show, which means there's opportunity. If you're listening and you like what we do and you get value, well, what's that worth to you? podcastpd.com/executive producer. All right, AJ, before we get to the what are we listening to, and I saw you put something in the notes here, so we're going to get to that. With you now being a principal, I had a question that I wanted to ask you about that.
Good. That's the whole point of the podcast, right? You ask questions, I give answers, people talk to us. You forgot the question, huh?
I forgot the question.
Cool.
Oh, I know what it was. You mentioned that in you making the decision, you reached out to some of the people you consider to be mentors and inspiration. So whether it's texting or phone calling, I'm not going to ask you who you reached out to, but what was some of the advice or wisdom that was given to you that you are taking to heart, that you're going to hold on to as you start this new journey?
Wow, that's a really great question, Christopher.
I've been doing this a long time.
You have been.
I feel like I've asked you like 3 questions that you're like, that's a good question. I don't want to answer it, so I'm just going to try and get out of it.
No, I have answered everything, haven't I?
Well, I mean,
did I get out of something? You can ask me.
I'll tell you later.
No. Okay. I'm not lying when I say what I'm about to say, right? Everything seems like a blur at this point because it's been a little while. So,
and actually, real quick, as you're answering this,
go ahead.
For the people who are watching us live right now, If you've got advice for AJ to consider, throw that in the chat, whether you're Facebook, YouTube. What advice or words of wisdom do you have for AJ? Let us know in the chat. All right, go ahead.
I think a lot of people were just telling me to trust myself, right? To go with the gut. Because it wasn't like, well, you do this so well, right? Like nobody was like, you're so good at this, you'd be a great principal. And I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for, I spoke to a lot of people who are currently in the principal role. First of all, like, am I ready? And people were saying yes, because. And it wasn't like I do, it's not just me. It's because of what you have done to like understand leadership. You're ready for that. What you have done to build relationship with your staff, you're ready for that. A lot of it just came back to who I am as an educator and what I do for people. You know, I'm not selfish when it comes to the leadership role. You know, it was a lot of like, oh, you're going to care about your people. They're going to love you because of how you treat people, you know? And it was like, just do that. You'll win them over, you know? A lot of people are just really asking or telling me to ask questions, you know, and telling me to really get involved with the staff and get to know who they are as people, like understand their approaches. You know, that's a lot of the advice, but it wasn't like, you know, the first day you need to do this and then you need to do this. And it was just like, be you, listen, you know, understand, ask questions, and figure out what works for everybody around you. So there wasn't like advice of like, that really stood out to me. Like nobody was like, yes, because this is the best job in the world. Nobody said that, you know. It was more about like looking inside of me and getting the best, you know, having those people like motivate me and inspire me because they know that that's what works for me.
Okay. Stephanie checked in on the chat. I will throw her thing up here. She says, to introduce himself, you should create a podcast-esque file for your new staff. 2 episodes. Episode 1, introduce yourself. Episode 2, an AMA, ask you anything, and respond to their questions.
That's funny because I was actually thinking about doing something like that on like their the school Instagram page. I was very close to talking to the person who runs it and be like, let's do this real quick. I was thinking about it.
I mean, you could set up maybe like a Padlet or something like that, and they could submit questions to you. Or
yeah, well, one of the things I'm going to do to get to know the kids, right? We're going to do like a popsicles with the principal in the next couple of weeks before school starts, and I was actually going to create like something for them that they can do that. I didn't think about doing it with the staff. I thought that was corny, but I appreciate that a teacher is saying it's a good idea. So cheers.
And Stephanie says that she's got to head out. She's got staff day 1 tomorrow.
Woo!
Congratulations, AJ.
Thank you. Good luck. Throwing the horns out there today. Love it.
You've earned it, my friend. I like the popsicles with principals. Is that going to be like bomb pops? You're going to go fudgesicle, creamsicle? Like
I'm gonna talk to PTA, see what they can get.
Maybe get the Kona ice truck to come.
Ooh, see what they could do. I'd rather not do like the fudgesicles. Any kids can come, Miss Bianco, and they're like chocolate.
I'm covered in fudge.
Exactly right. You know, all of a sudden it's gonna be me like covered in chocolate. We don't need that. So I love bomb pops.
Maybe you'll be like the Willy Wonka of principals.
Probably not.
Oh,
yeah.
Can't be too unbuttoned.
Right.
That's awesome. So without me having to ask, you've got some ideas for sure.
Of course.
Kevin Carroll checking in on Facebook. He says, truly connect with the staff. Listen to people. Be direct and don't be afraid to confront. Provide timely feedback and don't sugarcoat things.
Thank you, Kevin.
I believe Gary V talks about kind candor.
Kind candor.
Okay. Yes.
You still rolling that Gary V train, huh?
I bought his book. I'm reading Day Trading Attention currently.
There you go.
I read books now, buddy.
Wow. Not just podcasts?
Not just podcasts are tough to read. Wow. Although if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, did you know that you can get a transcript of any episode of any podcast you listen to?
No,
People might be doing that right now, listening
didn't
to
know that.
us.
Didn't know that.
And Kevin also, he's with me, 100% Gary V.
Okay. I have no problem with Gary Vee. I'm just haven't been as on top of him as you have.
It is what it is. You
Yeah.
want to talk about podcasts, speaking of which?
Sure, we can do that if you'd like to.
I would very much like to.
Let's go.
All right. As we do here in most episodes, when we remember and we've listened to, we like to recommend podcasts to you. Could be something we've talked about before, could be something new. AJ, what do you got for
Okay.
us?
I don't think I've mentioned this podcast before. Have I?
I'm pulling it up. I'll
Yeah.
recognize the
All
article
right.
or not.
So the podcast that I'm recommending is called The Mindset Advantage, and it's with DJ Hillier. I don't listen to this podcast all the time. As I told Chris, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts lately, but this one stood out to me because if you remember Jake Thompson, who was a guest on our podcast, he had this gentleman on his podcast, and I kind of liked his message. So I figured I'd go down the rabbit hole a little bit and grabbed his book and been listening to his podcast a little bit. And the podcast that stood out to me was one of his newer ones from August, and it was called A Master Class in Difficult Conversations with Amy P. Kelly.
Okay.
And Amy has been, I guess, a co-author in some ways with John Gordon for a lot of his books. And they both just came out with a new book called Difficult Conversations Don't Have to Be Difficult. I just grabbed that book too after listening to this podcast. It's just, the episode was very good because as I take on this new role and think about, as Kevin said, giving positive feedback or giving feedback in general, not sugarcoating things, and, just having those conversations. Like, one of the things the superintendent asked me is, what is something you need to work on? I said, having difficult conversations. Plain and simple, right? Because not everybody's good at that. So I found this episode in August, and I'll just read you the synopsis and I'll tell you my thoughts. Amy P. Kelly is the vice president of consulting for the John Gordon Companies and a global facilitator for the Association for Talent Development in the areas of change management, improving human performance and consulting skills. She's co-author of the juggernaut book, The Energy Bus, and that's a book that I've read in the past. Amy and John just released the book, Difficult Conversations Don't Have to Be Difficult. And in this episode, they went over a variety of topics, such as why a large majority of people avoid difficult conversations, changing your mindset around difficult conversations, how to have a difficult conversation with difficult people, the STAR 3 model for making difficult conversations less difficult, communicating with a counterpart who holds a strong bias, and how to start and end difficult conversations. So, just listening to this podcast kind of got me excited about their book, because John Gordon books are pretty quick reads. Usually they're fables. So this idea and the STAR 3 model about having difficult conversations was definitely something that kind of changed my mindset about talking to people about different things. So, I haven't dug into the book. It just came this week. So I'll be starting it after I finish the other two that I'm reading.
Nice. What are the other two you're reading?
Currently, right now, I'm reading a book called Legacy, which is a book about the All Blacks rugby team from New Zealand. It's like leadership skills or leadership lessons from the All Blacks. And I'm reading the Energy Bus for Schools. And I'm reading, I forgot I have this one as well on the floor, The First 90 Days. So those are my books that are on my night table right now.
Nice.
Plus the DJ Hillier book and then Difficult Conversations book. So a lot of books.
A lot of books. I do have a recommendation also, and I will include what you recommended. They'll be in the show notes for this episode, which will be a swipe or a tap away where you're listening to this as a podcast, or if you go to podcastpd.com/143, there will be links in the show notes. I'm going to no new podcast, but a recent episode of The Art of Manliness. I think it's the most recent episode from August 21st. So I think, yeah, it's the most recent episode, but I enjoyed it the other day. The title is Unlock Better Sleep and Health by
Oh, I
Harnessing
saw that
Your
one.
Circadian Rhythm. You said you saw that?
Yeah, I saw that episode. And I wanted to check that out. So go ahead. Please tell us.
So I'm going to give you, I enjoyed it. And I actually, without even knowing it, have already for probably over a year started to employ some of these habits unknowingly. So I felt better about myself knowing, oh, I'm kind of doing some of this. I felt good. So here's a little synopsis for this episode. You probably know your body follows a circadian rhythm and probably think of it as primarily regulating your sleep and wake cycle, which it certainly does. But your body's internal clock also regulates many other physical, mental, and behavioral changes that occur every 24 hours. And working with your circadian rhythm rather than against it, you can boost your health and your happiness. So, I don't know the episode number, but it is Unlocking Better Sleep, and I will include a link to this in the notes.
Was it a good episode? Like legit,
Absolutely.
like legit worth the episode.
Legit worth it.
Chris, I've been waking up every night, like the same time, 3:30 in the morning. No joke. 1:30 and 3:30 in the morning.
The guy who is his guest, he's the author of a book. I'm looking further in the description. The book is called Lifetime, Your Body Clock and Its Essential Roles in Good Health and Sleep. Professor Russell Foster. So, yes, worth a listen. It'll be a good investment of 56 minutes of your life.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, really 50 when you take out the ads.
Gotcha. There's a lot of ads.
Yeah.
Gotta make that money.
Got to make that money.
We
Understood.
need ads. We need some ads.
Well, we have our executive producers, and if people become executive producers, we don't need to seek sponsorships. That's really what it comes down to.
It's come down. Yeah.
So
sure.
if we don't have executive producers, there will be ads. Real quick, just to finish up with the chat here. Freddie says, ditto what Kevin said. Freddie also said, get into the classrooms.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's like September, October right there for me.
There you go. And Siobhan said, be well. Congratulations.
Thank you, Siobhan. I'll be in touch.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else for this episode, my friend?
To be continued.
Yeah, the journey begins.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Get us your thoughts and feedback about this conversation or other conversations we've had. You can email us feedback@podcastpd.com. You can also send us a voicemail by going to our website and clicking on the microphone. Or you can come out at the end of each month when we live stream the show and you can interact with us like Siobhan did and Stephanie did and Aaron and Freddie and Kevin. So thank you guys for hanging out with us in the chat for a little bit. We really appreciate it. And we'll be back on Sunday, September 29th for episode 144 of the Podcast PD show. Sounds good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Have a good night. Enjoy the start to your school year, everybody. And we'll see you at the end of September.
It's crazy.
Wave goodbye. Say goodbye.
Good luck.
Good luck.